If you've ever asked yourself, why didn't I just leave sooner? If you've ever wondered why your body stayed even when your mind felt uneasy, I want you to stay with me, because in this episode, it's not about courage. It's not about strength. And it's not about blaming yourself for what you didn't do fast enough. It's about understanding why your body responded the way that it did before your mind had language for it. And if you're listening while driving, walking, or laying down, you don't need to take notes. You just got to let this lay and land on good ground. I want to talk about some of the animals that are in the wild that don't run when danger shows up. They don't fight. They don't flee. They just freeze. Now, if you can think of an animal like that, those of you that are on Facebook or social media, I want you to comment that type of animal. They don't fight. They don't flee. They just freeze, right? When danger shows up. And it's not because they're weak, but it's because freezing once kept them alive. See, their nervous system learned something early, that stillness reduces harm, that staying quiet increases survival, and waiting, man, it keeps you safe. So when danger appears, their body responds before their mind can decide. And I got to tell you something, and I want you to listen to me good. Humans are not that much different. See, because when emotional danger shows up, raised voices, instability, unpredictability, your body doesn't ask, is it healthy? It asks, is this familiar? And see, familiarity feels safer than uncertainty, even when it hurts. And that's freezing. It's the same exact thing. And that is what we are going to unpack today. And I want to say, if you're familiar with this, I want you to share it, because you're going to learn something, and the people that you share are going to learn something as well. And I want to say one more thing. You didn't stay because you was weak. You stayed because your body was trying to protect itself, and it was trying to protect you. Now, the first point that I want to make today is that freezing is a survival response, because freezing is not an indecision. It's protection. And when your nervous system senses threat without clear escape, it shows everything, like your voice, your reaction, your movements. And it's not to trap you, but it's to reduce risk. See, that response, it kept you safe long before you ever knew why. You ever heard the phrase, they acted like a deer in headlights? See, that's not weakness. That's biology. Because when a deer freezes, it's not deciding anything. It's the nervous system that have shut down, because movement once meant danger. See, the body learned that stillness reduces harm. That same response, it shows up in humans, just emotionally instead of physically. That's why you didn't react. That's why you went quiet. That's why you stayed. See, your body wasn't confused. It was protecting you. And the second point that I want to make about this topic is your body knew before you did. And when you ask yourself, why did my body know before I did? See, your body reacts to tone before words. Someone says, I'm fine, but their voice is sharp, their energy is distant, their timing is off. See, your body noticed the inconsistency. It notices energy shifts. It also noticed the unspoken tension. That's why your chest be tight and your stomach drops sometime. That's why something felt off before you can explain it. Your body wasn't confused. It was just early. Which leads me to point 3. Why you didn't confront it right away. You knew things was going on. Why didn't you confront it right away? Well, confrontation requires safety. And if your nervous system didn't believe that truth would be received safely, sometimes it becomes a delayed action. And I say that silence, it wasn't avoidance. It was self-preservation. See, you was not choosing peace at that moment. You was choosing survival. Because before you confront something, your body asks one question. What happens next? What happens if they deny it? What if they try to flip it on me? What if I lose the relationship? What if I'm wrong? If the answer feels unsafe, your body pauses action. And that pause, it's not fear. It's simply calculation. Which leads me to another point in the next question. Why question yourself afterward? Why do that? Well, I like to say is once danger passes, your body releases the freeze. And then your mind shows up and says, why didn't I do something? But that question comes too late. You're judging a survival response with logic that arrived afterward. That's not honesty. That's hindsight. And I know many of you are saying, Mark, could you break this down? Can you make this make sense? Can you slow down a little bit? Well, I'm going to explain that hindsight that I'm talking about. See, you're questioning yourself with information that you didn't have back then. You didn't know what you know now. You didn't see the full picture. And most of you, you did not have proof. So when you judge yourself now, you're holding your past self to standards you never had access to. And I want to say something. That's not fair. Let me move on to 5. I have another question. Why shame? Why do it show up after clarity? That shameful feeling. Why do it shows up after you have real understanding? You have the truth. I think it's because your body finally feels safe enough to process what happened. See, it doesn't mean that you failed. It means that your system is coming back online. See, shame isn't the truth. It's a signal that healing has begun. Because when clarity hits, your mind looks for control. I want to repeat that again because I feel like some people are going to let that go way over their head. When clarity hits you, your mind, it begins to look for control. Because accepting betrayal feels helpless. Man, I got to accept this. I got to accept this dysfunction. I got to accept this shame. I got to accept this embarrassment. Because it means that you didn't have all the power. It means something happened without your consent. So your mind asks, what should I have done differently? What did I miss? How could I have let this happen? And I like to tell you that self-blame creates the illusion of control. Now you're trying to control the idea of what happened. But it's not the truth. It's your mind that's trying to stabilize the shock. I know. Many of us have done that. We're looking for something to control, something that actually makes sense. That's why I love the book that God have given me that I've written called 21 Days to Reset. If you haven't gotten a copy, I think you should. Because this book is going to show you step by step how to break these type of barriers. If you're on Facebook, I want you to comment the number 21 and I'll send you access to it. If you're on YouTube or, some other streaming platform, you want to go to markleejr.com and it's cheaper there than it is on Amazon. I tell people it's half off there on my page, markleejr.com. But if you go to Amazon, it's going to be a little higher. But yeah. And if you like what I'm talking about today, I want you to comment in the comments right now. Keep cooking. Keep cooking. Now let's get to point number 6. And I want to talk about what healing actually looks like. A lot of people, you may be in healing and you don't know it. You may have some things that is healing in you and you are yet in denial because you're so broken, so that you think. But healing doesn't mean forcing yourself to be a braver version of yourself. Healing is not saying be brave. No. Healing is teaching your body that safety no longer requires silence, that stillness isn't your only option, that you can move on now. Your body doesn't need more criticism. It doesn't. It needs reassurance. That's why I like to tell people, go to the gym. Work on yourself. Men, get strong. Build your confidence. So a lot of times I tell you, go out and build your bag so you can afford anybody you want, bro. And sis, running to so many different men will not give you the reassurance. That is not healing. That is disaster. I'm telling you because we see it every day. Many throw their life away. They never become anything great because they ran to another man. Men, don't run to another woman when you get hurt. That's not the type of reassurance that I'm talking about. Healing is very simple sometimes when we actually have the knowledge and we can understand. It's not always a quick thing. Quit thinking it's quick. Quit thinking you're going to be healed tomorrow. Some people are broken for years. Some people are surviving and they are getting past for years. They're getting past the situations. We're talking about betrayal here. I tell people betrayal is worse than being harmed with a weapon. Healing looks like not needing the story anymore. You didn't know that, did you? You know, when you don't need to rehash it, when you don't need more answers, when you don't need closure from them, when those questions quiet down, and don't act like you don't know what questions I'm talking about. I'm talking about those embarrassing questions, those hurtful questions, the unknown questions, the questions that leave you with, is it true? Did you do that? Was you with that person many years ago? Was you doing this? Was you doing that? See, you ask yourself a lot of questions when you're trying to heal, but when you don't need it anymore, that's a sign of healing. And it's not because everything makes sense. It's because you've accepted what won't. And I want to tell you this is that's the biggest tricks of the enemy, is to keep you right here, to keep you questioning. I wonder what happened when this. I wonder what happened when that. And I'm not talking about a delusional question. And maybe I need to be very clear. See, in some cases of betrayal, you have the truth and you have delusion. Unhealed people suffer from both, right? Delusion just give you just made up lies. So when that stops, then that's a sign of healing. But then you have the truth. When people have told you half truths, like we've talked about in some of the other episodes, when they give you half truths, the enemy like to keep you there. When they tell you the partial story, but don't tell you the whole story. But when you don't need that anymore, guess what? That's a sign that you are healing. And not to say that you will never have that question again, but it's to say that when the question comes up, you don't care. You're healing. And the last point that I want to make before I close is relearning yourself is the most important thing in this lesson. Relearning self-trust. I talked about this a little bit in one of the earlier lessons, but I want to be clear. You don't rebuild trust by replaying what you should have done. People always say, I should have did this and I should have did that. And I should have. That's not rebuilding self-trust. No, you rebuild it by honoring why you did what you did, why you froze. See, you survived the best way you knew how. Many of you don't know what you would do until you hit with it. And so some of you did the best thing you could do to survive. And now, with clarity, you get to choose differently. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom. I want to do a reset practice with you. And if you can give me a moment, wherever you are, I want you to pause for a moment. If you can, place your hand on your chest. And if you can't, I just want you to take a deep breath. I want you to ask yourself, What was my body protecting me from? What did staying quiet make safer? What do I need now that I didn't have then? Now, this next thing, I want you to say this aloud if you can. If not, say it in your mind. My body was protecting me. I don't shame survival. I trust myself to move when I'm ready. Now I want you to let that settle in your spirit. See, you don't need more information. You need alignment. And alignment begins the moment you stop fighting what you already know. Take what landed, leave what didn't, and give yourself permission to reset. Now, don't let this go over your head. Straight up.